You're listening to The Kylo Show, a podcast where we talk about how to keep your love on no matter what and why whole healthy families are going to save the world. In this week's episode, Danny and Brittany discuss the things you must do before getting married because it's hell addressing them afterward. So, if you want to set your marriage up for success or find the source of pain in a marriage mess right now, you're going to want to tune in because this week's episode starts right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kylo Show.
Here we are.
Ta-da!
Back for more.
Yep. Every week, we're back. And we are ending. Are we ending today?
This is it. We're coming in for a landing.
We are for the dating and engagement series, which was a hefty series.
There's a lot in there.
There is.
You know, there's some happy people and there's some not happy people on some of the things that we talked about. And that's kind of the reality of dating in today's world is that there's just a lot of sorting out and not trying to be upsetting, but I know that sometimes when we start drawing a line of conviction with biblical ethics, we're going to find people that just don't agree.
Yeah. Well, this last episode on this topic is all about the preparing before you are either engaged and getting married or going from dating to engaged, kind of this is the final countdown, if you will, as you are about to cross over into marriage. So what's the preparation look like for this next step? So you're really ready for marriage. Yeah.
And this is like ideal land. You know, some people have different circumstances or they may actually find themselves already married and they're listening to this and they're like, wow, we didn't do any of that. Well, let me just tell you, I didn't either.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any of this stuff around when I was walking down the aisle. Yeah, I didn't. I mentioned it in this series before, but we didn't do this because we didn't have this. So the reason we do this is so that you can filter out as much high anxiety producing episodes and dynamics in your relationship as possible so that you set yourself up to really enjoy each other and build a covenant that lasts a lifetime.
Yeah. And it is so important to be paying attention to how to prepare yourself. It feels like there's people that miss this opportunity and just kind of, we're just keep running. We'll just keep running and it'll be fine. When we get married, it'll be fine. And that is not necessarily true. You're probably going to have all of that and more when you're married. And again, we've been putting some very clear lines to what you should be looking for or how living biblically, which is, poking at some, and it's not trying to be mean or harsh. It's just displaying, what does this mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying you want your life to be in pursuit of Christ, we're just pointing out this is what it looks like. This is the truth of that life. If you got some other goal in mind, then far out. A whole bunch of this will help you, but the pieces about the biblical ethics and sexual purity and following Jesus, all of that is very specific to building a Christ-like culture in your home.
Ben and I have done a lot of prepare and enrich assessments, and we just did one. And you can see that there's not a biblical standard that they are following very clearly. And they're choosing to live together, and the wedding date is right around the corner. And all of the the indicators are communicating that they are not doing communication, and then they're not doing conflict, and they're not enjoying each other. And yet they're still choosing to get married. And this is when I think about all the things we've been talking about for the last weeks and weeks. It's been so many weeks. Is there's such opportunity to set yourself up for success. And our heart is, please take the time to do that. Because on the other side of this most powerful, beautiful covenant that you will experience, other than the covenant you have with the Lord, can be such a rich experience and so enjoyable. But there's requirements beforehand.
I remember one time when I was a young man, this is before I met Jesus, I was going to run a 10K race up what we called Timber Ridge. It was called the Timber Ridge Run in Weaverville. And which means
I've never known you as a runner. Let me just
I don't know. I know. I there was a day where I did much stuff.
I don't think I've ever seen you run.
Yeah, well, unless somebody's chasing me, there's really no reason to run. Well, I was involved in other activities as well, but I hadn't done anything for quite a while. And I went out the night before the race and got really drunk. And then I was really sick the next morning. But I'm going to run it anyway.
10K.
10K, up a hill, up a big hill. And then, So I get out in front with everybody and all the fast runners. And I'm keeping pace with them as we go up the hill. And I did no preparation at all. I did no conditioning at all. I didn't do what I knew to do. I didn't do. And about halfway across the flat after the top of the hill, I was laying face down in the dirt with people stopping and saying, "Are you okay?" And I was just waving at them like, "Keep going. I do think I'm going to die, but just please keep going. Let me die in peace." And
were you at least in a meadow? Was there at least anything pretty around?
No, it was nothing. It was a dirt road. It was a logging road. I'm just laying there in the red clay powder while people are running by me. And that's what I think of when people don't prepare for a marriage, is that you're going to find yourself face down in the dirt with people walking by saying, "Are you okay?" Because you are so hammered, you're so out of shape, you didn't take the steps necessary. So the whole point of this series, and really the Kylo Show, is to keep working into your life things that will help you prepare for what's coming. And in this case, it's the potential of marriage. But often our conversations are about a tough conversation with somebody you care about, having children. How do you talk about finances? How do you talk about things with your extended family? I mean, we're trying to set you up as best we can because we know the experience of having to figure it out the first time on your own.
Yeah. I'm so grateful for, you and Mom did so much work. The first half was a little crazy. Second half was you guys got it into gear, and
we had a lot of people asking us, "Are you guys okay?"
Yes, you did. I think I'm the only one out of the kids that probably really remembers some of the crazy. I don't even remember that much of it. But looking at Ben and I and where we are today, knowing what you fought for back here, I look at our kids and go, wow, there's such a different level they'll be starting on if they choose to. It's all about choice, but what is available to them, you guys didn't have available to you. And that is just kind of helps. I mean, your coach is just different. Like if you would have had a coach for your 10K run, it would have looked different if it wasn't just you.
Yeah, or I hadn't got drunk the night before, or I had paid any attention at all to, and that I didn't try to keep up with everybody in the front of the race, pretending like
which is the coach part. I think we're kind of trying to coach people to, you can do it differently.
Embarrassing.
Please do it differently.
Super humiliating.
Yeah. Which, we've looked at all the Kylo principles as tools for preparation and how to set yourself up for success in a relationship leading to marriage, so that when you are standing at this altar with this person, that you're ready to love well, you feel equipped.
Yeah.
And so the first principle that we've talked about is having a lover of Jesus.
Yeah. Find one. And I think your mom and I did that right.
Yes.
We found somebody, and I think that's really what
the saving grace.
It was. It really was. It was. We both want to follow Jesus, and he's just not given us any excuses. I mean, we are clinically, psychologically advised as incompatible. That's what our Taylor Johnson compatibility assessment came back as. The note on our envelope to Bill Johnson was, Bill, do whatever you can to stop this marriage. Okay. So that poor psychologist was like, bridge out. Oh my gosh, run away. And we just, roar. But what we did have is two people who were fast after wanting God's will for our lives. And it really did shape us.
Yeah, which I'm grateful for. The next one we've talked about is having biblical ethics in sexual purity, and the pursuit of defining that. I think is a really important role when you're having this conversation, because there's a lot of confusion around that right now of what is biblical. So pushing into and finding truth to what is biblical, so that you protect something that is. Sex is made for marriage, and it's inside this covenant.
Yeah. We failed that. We did not do well with that one. That we got married within our first year of getting saved. We didn't. We get a D-.
I feel like you're confessing.
I am. I'm trying to encourage people.
Hope is possible.
I'm just saying, it's 37 years later, but we both had very sexualized backgrounds, and we came together into a new thing, and I did not know how to communicate to a female, and I don't think your mom knew how to communicate to a male that I really like you, and not have some kind of hyper makeout session communicate that. And we did not end up in intercourse, but we were just like a couple of crazy people.
Well, you gave me, and Ben's parents gave him, a value for biblical sexual purity.
Yeah.
And that Ben and I were able to bring that to our relationship. So you won there. Good job. The next thing with the Kylo principles, just those 5 principles, being powerful.
Yep, we got an F on those. We did such a terrible job for such a long time.
Yes.
It's a miracle. I tell you, it's a miracle that your mom and I.
Oh, I know.
Turned out like we did.
Yeah.
And I do not advise that you just rely on a miracle.
No, please don't. Which is why we're here talking about this.
Exactly,
if you're listening to this,
here. We are
you
here
want
to
something
help
different.
you.
So this is good. This
Yes.
is good. So being powerful, being able to have a choice, to not feel stuck. I mean, those are key components. The next one is to choose love over fear, creating a safe place to chase away the anxiety in the relationship.
Heal up, man. Heal up.
Yeah.
Heal your brokenness. Heal your
Any trauma.
all that anxiety is just you're just looking for a target. You got to heal that stuff up.
Yeah.
Chase the fear away with the love.
Yeah. And, pursuing the goal of connection, to be able to really, this part for me has always felt like it looked like forgiveness.
It's forgiveness and self-control. Be powerful. This is where you be powerful first.
Just to be able to forgive in when I'm scared or frustrated or disappointed, to be able to forgive and then move towards, even though this wants to come out really easily. this for me in marriage, showed up in moments where I didn't expect it. But that forgiveness piece, and then to turn and to pursue connection, and partners with chasing away that fear and being a powerful person. But and respectful communication, learning how to speak the truth in love and what that really means.
Understand what you need,
Yeah.
understand what you feel, learn how to communicate and have a connection to protect. I mean, the problem with being disconnected and trying to communicate is you don't have anything to protect. So now it's just a bomb throwing contest and see if I can hurt you as much as you hurt me.
Yeah.
So it's so important to learn to communicate respectfully.
And knowing self-control in this
Absolutely.
is when you're not going to manage yourself well, to communicate, I need space.
I'll be done talking right now.
And I can't continue, and being able to do that well. And of course, honoring healthy boundaries. People think there's no boundaries in marriage.
Just if I said, I'm done talking now, there's a boundary.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you end up creating a respectful place, is you honor the boundary that somebody else sets.
Which in dating looks like I can't hang out tonight because I have work in the morning, to feel pressured or guilted into giving away that space even though you needed to sleep because you had early morning. If that person's not respecting that boundary, that's even an example of a boundary in your relationship.
Or good night.
Yeah.
Okay, good night. Click.
No,
They don't
you
really
say
love
good
me.
night.
They don't really love me. They hung up. They actually hung up.
And this is how we've got all sorts of different boundaries showing up all the time in our relationship. So please do the work. Please do the work. If
Don't end up on the road face down in the dirt.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
I don't think you will enjoy that.
No, that is rough.
It is worth all the preparation. Ben and I were given such a great opportunity coming from great resources, but there was still lots of work to be done. And even after getting married, and still, you had kids and you had life. It's just a constant journey of preparing for the next season of the unknown. Oh, we missed that exit. I need to go prepare some more. Or there's just lots of preparing, but it is worth it.
And there's grace for all the mistakes. Just humble yourself, but don't be foolish, and don't test the Lord. Don't just say, I got this, I'm going to do it. The Lord's going to have to work it out. Like, that's face down in the dirt. And it's an option. So please heed our advice and learn to Kylo.
Yeah. Which
with somebody who loves Jesus. And
biblical ethics.
Has all those standards.
It's going to be great. And redemption is the beauty and the grace of the Lord. So
we got to have some questions coming up.
We do.
Okay.
So we'll see you in just a little bit.
Okay.
Today is Giving Tuesday. It is a global movement of generosity by organizations and people to support nonprofit organizations who are changing the community and world around you. Loving on Purpose is a nonprofit organization, and we're asking you to point your generosity at us. So if you've been impacted by this podcast or any of our materials, we ask that you partner with us this Giving Tuesday by making a tax-deductible donation to thelovingonpurpose.com and click Give.
All right, so we're going to take questions like we always do. And please, thekyloshow.com is where you submit questions and testimonies. We love those, so please send them in. But today's first question comes from Dan.
Hey, Danny and Brittany. Thank you so much for doing the Kylo Show. My question is, what role do our families and pastors play in preparation for our marriage?
What role do they play?
Well, probably all different kinds of roles, depending on your relationship with them. And even, a lot of it has to do with their expertise on the topic, because some of them have lots of ideas that they never implemented.
Yep.
And some of them have really quiet enormous success stories. So I think really, what are you after? Are you after being influenced by their success, or are you acquiescing to them wanting to look influential in your life? So it's kind of an adjustment, and you can accommodate all that, but I would really look to apply what they've accomplished. At the same time, I do want to show them respect by at least listening to something they say.
Yeah. When he's talking, I immediately started thinking about just the boundary circles that you have and that level of influence to your hot lava core, and how much, I guess, sticks or gets to have access to that. So listening, and I've had many conversations. I remember even listening to my grandfather right before getting married to Ben, who's telling me I needed to have sex with Ben. I love him. And I probably spend a lot of times nodding and saying, well, I don't know that that'll happen, but thank you.
Yeah.
And his level of influence on my life is pretty far away from the core of my values and how I live my life, but I didn't exclude him from having input or stop him immediately. And I think that's pretty much this process, is just being able to identify where they are in that boundary circle of how much influence that they can have, and their success is a big piece too. Of if they've got 5 failed marriages, I don't know what component that you want to bring into your marriage of their success or not success. So
yeah, and it's probably just more about listening to their story and hearing some of their opinions. But then I think maybe hiding in Dan's question as well is there a line where people
cross?
Yeah, they think they have this much authority or this much influence when they don't really. And they pull out the leader or the parent card. And you have to be able to, know what you want to accomplish and who is going to help you get there. Now, but please understand, if somebody expects to have a lot of influence in your life, it should be connected to some reality. It can't just be connected to thus saith the Lord, I'm your pastor, here you go. It's got to be some relationship. It's got to be some respect. And you got to feel powerful. There's got to be a Kylo thing as well. Otherwise, you're damaging the spirit realm of whatever it is you are going to bind together with this person that you're marrying by bringing them into this kind of a spiritual relationship with a leader who thinks that they can make your decisions for you. Like, whoa, careful.
Yeah.
So beware of that as well.
Yep, that's good. All right, our next question comes to us from Bernie.
Hi, Danny and Brittany. Thanks for doing the Kylo Show. My question is, what do you do if a man proposes and you weren't quite ready for it yet? You didn't quite expect it.
Surprise proposal.
You giggle.
Probably lots of giggling.
Well, I guess it depends.
Yeah, I would first ask, how powerful do you feel in that, to be able to give the response of, I'm not sure I'm ready. What's the relationship? You weren't expecting it because it's a surprise, or you weren't expecting it because you don't feel like this relationship is at that level? Those are some indicators of different things.
I asked your mom to marry me, and she said, "Oh my God, what?" And I just sat there in silence while she kept saying things like that. And she says, I got to ask Benny. I got to ask our pastor's wife. So, okay. So we drove back into town. I took her to this romantic moonlit, and it was, none of it worked out how it worked out. It was in my mind. None of it worked out that way. And so I dropped her off at her house and I went home. And I just kind of sat there like, this is not at all how I thought this was going to go. And then about 11 o'clock that night, she calls. She says, yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. And she called Benny, and Benny said, he asked me to marry. And she said, well, what'd you say? She says, well, I said I had to talk to you. She was, you hang up and you tell him yes. So, I mean, we were a mess. We were a mess. I'm telling you. But we had some great people around us, and we love Jesus.
That we keep going back to that one pillar. It's the pillar that withstands all, is that we love Jesus. I'm so glad that you do.
Lots of people that love Jesus that aren't married today.
Yeah. Well, the surprise proposal, if you aren't ready to get married and you don't want to, don't say yes.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my biggest suggestion, is don't say yes out of pity. Don't say yes out of pressure. Don't say yes, and you'll figure it out later. I would just really make sure that when you're saying yes, you want to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big question, and it's much easier to navigate the next stage of when you're ready to get engaged, rather than canceling your wedding happening at a venue because you weren't sure that you were ready to say yes, but you did.
Yeah, or you ended up married.
Yeah, that's another thing that can happen. So don't let the pressure, no matter how beautiful or how extravagant or how many people may be there, if you're not ready to say yes, don't say yes. Or say,
be
pause.
Powerful.
Pause, let me talk to somebody that knows me.
Yep.
Maybe that's all that you need.
Mm-hmm.
But if you need more than that, be powerful. Exactly. All right, this next question that we have comes from Nikki.
Hey, Danny and Brittany. Thanks so much for doing the Kylo Show. My fiance and I have decided that we are going to be powerful people, and we've given each other the permission to call each other out if we start sounding or acting powerless. I have had a few times when I've said something to him about it and he hasn't taken it well. I'm wondering if the way I'm addressing it is wrong. Can you guys give me a good way to confront powerlessness in a way that would be received well? Thanks so much.
I think the way someone receives it shows their somewhat maturity to feedback. Is one thought. Sometimes it comes out clunky. I feel like when we're learning how to give feedback, it's like learning how to juggle with eggs. It's probably pretty messy, but it
takes skill.
It does. It does take skill, which means you have to practice, which means you have to be okay with being clunky and messy. And if this is a new thing, there might be more clunky and messy happening, which could be part of the rejecting this message or the feedback. So in that, I love when Ben and I are in clunky and having a hard time. Quickly, what helps us clarify things is one of us will say, what did you hear me say? So that we're able to quickly readjust how we did approach it, how well it didn't go, how many eggs are on the floor, to regaining connection. I'm trying to communicate. I value. I'm trying to give feedback right now. I'm doing not a good job, but what did you hear me say? Okay, let me try it again. And that's been the practice that's helped us as we've matured and grown in our ability to give feedback to each other.
Yeah, and I would say that being disconnected or connected changes the way that is received as well. So if I know that we're disconnected, I may say something like, are we all right? Do we have any work to do? I wouldn't use while we're connected as an opportunity to be critical of their approach to life. So I would still be moving towards getting connected. And then in the connection, you can say, I don't know if you noticed, but when you say you sound powerless, or you could just say, while you're connected, you say, are you open to some feedback about something I observed? yes.
Is it the touching of the eyeball?
I've been doing this for 30 years. And just yesterday, I had a typo in one of my slides at a preach I was doing. And your mom comes up to me. She goes, "You got a typo on your slide." And I was like, "Which slide? Help me out." But right away, I could feel myself like, oh my gosh, I just put a typo up in front of all these people. And I misspelled martyrs. It said voice of the Martys. It was like, oh, wow. And I'm thinking, she's helping me.
Yeah.
She's not being critical. She's helping me. But that is a knee-jerk thing that's in there when you feel humiliated.
Fight or flight,
or you feel threatened.
It's very true. So feedback it's a much needed necessity, but it can also be really painful in our delivery approach. So connected is a big winner or breaker, I guess, of this. Don't
react to voice of the Martys.
No.
Go for it. Just lean in and let people help you.
Yeah, and I think in the Keep Your Love On book, you give lots of resources in communication, kind of checking into those places, and in the connection section. So there's lots of little tools to be picked up as you learn, and Keep Your Love On has great resources for that, for sure. So check that out. Awesome. Well, these were great questions. Always love it. And we're going to dive into our testimony spot.
Awesome.
This Giving Tuesday, partner with Loving on Purpose to help build whole, healthy families around the world. Whether it's a one-time gift or a reoccurring donation, we'll make sure to steward your donation well to impact the hearts and lives of many. To make a donation, go to lovingonpurpose.com and click Give Now.
All right, so we're going to jump into our testimony, and today's testimony comes from Randy.
Kylo has made a major difference in my life, my family's life, and my ministry. The 3 legs in the book have really changed the way I do ministry and life altogether. I'm learning to keep my love on most of the time, going for 100%, but not quite there yet. Probably the best part of the book to me were the chapters on boundaries. Boundaries set me free in ministry. Being able to draw healthy boundaries made ministry a lot more fun. Danny, thank you for Kylo. You've ministered to me and my family for years, and we really appreciate your faithfulness.
Everybody loves the boundaries.
Everybody loves boundaries. Love Randy. I think I know who that was.
It's fun to hear just when it changes people's lives and then it impacts all the different streams that they touch. To know that it's not just one person, but to think of the thousands potentially.
Yeah.
That one person represents of experiencing love in a way that is powerful, purposeful, and modeling, that what Jesus did, which was boundaries. A lot of people think that didn't happen. But
Yeah, I think that's exactly where we get whole, healthy families are going to save the world. It's systems. It's systems of health. It's systems of influence. It's systems of adjustment, repentance, healing, reconciliation, restoration. It's just massive amounts of impacted individuals. Because when one person changes, they change all their relationships. And for whatever reason, a lot of people think, oh, no, I need that person to change so that we can change. Like, no, you just got to be the one that changes. And in doing so, you won't have the old relationship with that person ever again. Yeah. We understand this in the negative. If someone decides to become a heroin addict, they changed all their relationships with everyone they know. Yeah. No one has the relationship they had with them before they became a heroin addict. The same is true that when I decide that I'm going to pursue healthy, whole relationships, or actually I'm going to become a whole, healthy person, then every relationship I have is in many cases, dramatically impacted. So much so that you kind of scare people. What is going on with you?
Yeah.
Why are you acting like this? I like the old you better, and all that stuff. And it's because I don't want to change, is what they're saying. Your change is forcing a change that I don't want to make. I just want to do what I've always done with you. Go back. And here comes the pressure. Here comes the accusations or whatever I got to do to get you to go back. And it's, as long as there's no turning back for you, you are going to be surrounded with a increasing number of healthy relationships that maybe weren't even there before, but healthy attracts healthy. And you're not going to have healthy relationships as an unhealthy person.
It is amazing when you take on the Kylo principles and you plug them into your life and all your relationships change because you've changed. It's not just a relationship with almost humans, the behaviors that you live. You stop living powerlessly to your money, to your job, to the refrigerator,
Your children.
I mean, it's not just human relationships. That's the part that's funny. We don't necessarily always break this down, but it is an activation of being powerful is a different position that you take ownership of your life.
Totally.
And then the fruit that flows from it is I'm not happened to. I don't get happened to by things anymore. And I am not in the wake of chaos. There's chaos everywhere, but I don't have to live and partner and sit in the chaos. And that is one of the things that's so powerful to watch when change happens in people's lives and it impacts them everywhere. And they're just dripping with it from how they walk around, the confidence in their face, the confidence in their ability to love, to communicate with their children that are, normally you might see these kids and they're wild and out of control, but there's a different place of feeling powerful because of the change that's going on inside and the resources I'm going to get to change that.
I think, and the word whole there is really the marker that says, your whole life, your whole heart, your whole character. That's the piece that you go after. You go after the idea that I'm going to become whole. I'm going to integrate body, soul, and spirit and pursue a life of joy, peace, righteousness. That's what I'm going to do. And in doing so, it does affect every aspect of your life.
And it's so fun to watch, so fun to hear these testimonies of who knows how many people Randy is helping, from his ministry to his family. If they've been impacted, however many family members he's got that now have Kylo on their doorstep. Like Sarah said in another episode, she sends it away to all the people.
There you go.
Our Kylo evangelists, that's what we call them. Send the Kylo evangelists this way.
And one of the great things about becoming whole is what do you do with the imperfections? Because being whole isn't perfect. I don't know any perfect people, but the way you handle what you still have to learn, the way you handle your mistakes, the way you handle other people's mistakes, the way you mistakenly handled someone else's mistakes. All of these things are integrated into the journey of wholeness. It's far from being a perfect person. It's much more about being a person of integrity. Like, I am going to behave with a whole heart again and again, and when I find myself unable or unwilling to do that, I'll grow, and I'll repent.
And the statement of it being a journey is lifelong. It's a lifelong journey. And I think Mom says she's been using the term level up lately, and it's just another level to your journey of health. Is okay. you've worked on that one. You get to go to the next level.
Yeah. And, and Christ is the model, not somebody that I think's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's Christ. And it's how am I doing today as in becoming more Christ-like as I did yesterday.
Mm.
So I keep comparing me to me in the journey of me towards Christ-likeness, which keeps me out of the judgment cycles and out of the competition and comparison cycles. Like, I'm comparing me against me in that pursuit of Christ-like. And I got him looking back at me going, keep coming, baby. Keep coming.
Oh, you missed a step.
Oops. Oh. You okay?
I think of Mario Brothers when you think you jumped off of the little, I don't know what it is, tunnel, and you think you're going to be able to hop before the little mushroom guy comes.
Yeah.
Then he comes faster and you think you're like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what life feels like, but you get to be born again.
Yeah, you get eternal life, so you never run out of life.
You just keep going. And sometimes you get to go back to where, once you pass the halfway part, you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning, which is great.
Okay, you're remembering parts of the game I forgot.
You have to get to a certain part, which is great. Well, whole healthy families are going to save the world. That's what we've been saying for a long time now. And
come on, singles.
As we close the chapter of singles and dating and engagement, we do pray that you pursue this life of wholeness and you pursue these Kylo principles and you don't settle for something that is less than what has been promised and what is the design for you and that you prepare yourself for making that whole healthy family.
Yep.
And
so go change all your relationships.
Yep.
A little bit better.
That's it. Thanks so much for joining us on the Kylo Show.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to join us next week when Danny and Brittany start a new series on honor and the need for an honor revival. Never miss an episode of The Kylo Show by subscribing to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch us on the Loving on Purpose YouTube channel. Submit your questions and testimonies to thekyloshow.com. The Kylo Show is produced by Ali Armerding, co-produced by Ashley Beck, Leah Alexander, Anna Hill, and Sherry Silk, sound engineer and edited by Taylor Silk, and show promoter Kirsten Zamora. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.